So we all know that the NFL Combine is the underwear Olympics. So like, oh, the wide receiver ran a 4.21. He must be so great. Yeah, how's John Ross working out? Or the defensive lineman who sets the bench press record. I think was it Stephen Paea, or there was some small school jabroni who outdid that. But yeah, how'd that work out for him too? But it is all for show. But the way they actually play on the practice field as well as the actual football field is how they do it for dough. It just happens. It is what it is. But also, I do like it because there's a mini interregnum between the Super Bowl, don't count the Pro Bowl, Senior Bowl to a degree, between the month-long space between the Combine starting and the end of the Super Bowl. It's like you get a mini vacation. Everyone takes off to tropical weather, or at least warm weather if we're from northern states. But then it's back to football because the NFL Combine means it is freaking on. That's right, because the Combine goes, then pro days, and then, gosh, what else is there? Oh, free agency? Yeah, we're only a couple weeks away from free agency. Like, legal tampering opens up in 2 weeks. And then you have the old NFL draft, all the pomp and circumstance. Then you got mini camp, then you got training camp, and then it's on. I can't wait. But as far as, like, the measurements go, I generally don't care. I generally don't care about who runs what, who did this, who did that. Like, everyone freaking out about DK Metcalf last year. Generally, it's pretty nonchalant. Like most teams, I generally care about if players can meet thresholds. Like, I generally like my wide receivers to run a 4.5, but also if you can't run routes, who really cares? I want my interior offensive lineman to at least bench 27 times on the bench, ideally. I want my edge rushers to have at least a 7-second 3-cone. I'm like, it's pretty easy. Like, everything else beyond that is just window dressing. And it's like, oh, that guy's a beast. Or, oh, that guy's not necessarily a beast. It happens, right? But also, when it comes to individual drills, I think a lot gets blown up about when quarterbacks, the quarterback isn't throwing at the Combine. I think it's absolutely stupid if a quarterback decides to throw at the Combine because, A, you're coming in cold, and also you're working with wide receivers that you've never thrown to before. So timing and rhythm and chemistry and all that stuff, it does matter. Like, there really is no upside. Like, if you're a college quarterback who has a lot of great college tape, let that stand on its own. Or get to your pro day where everything is scripted and everything works itself out with receivers that you know and love in a very contained, hermetically sealed environment. That works out. But, who gains? Like, if you look good, it's like, oh, you look good. Congratulations. If you look bad, that tanks your draft stock, potentially. So I don't really like it. I do understand why, like, some smaller schools or some more unheralded quarterbacks go up there and throw because it can help their draft stock, certainly. And also, they literally need arms to throw. Like, they can't have like assistant coaches out there just chucking all the balls. It doesn't really make any sense. But what really is more important to the teams, besides just checking all the physical boxes, is the interviews, where you get the kid in a room 10, 15 minutes with coaches, with scouts, talk to the kid. This is where, although some teams treat this as a farce, like, this is the one where, like, that Miami, that Dolphins executive jabroni asked Des Bryant if his mom was a hooker, or was it Demaryius Thomas? It was one of the two. And then also it's like, oh, so are you a cat person or a dog person? And it's like you're supposed to get some sort of like deep thinking answer back to get a feeling into their psyche just to see if they'll be a benefit to your football team. It just really is stupid. But also, it does have some merit. You get to know the player a little bit, although it is an interview. It's like when you talk to someone in a job interview, you're going to get the best version of themselves unless they're really dumb. But also... if that comes out too, that's a bit of a red flag. But also, medical checks are really huge, especially for guys like Tua Tagovailoa. So team doctors can come in, they examine the player, check, all that stuff. And also, sometimes it can reveal like some pre-existing conditions because the level of NFL medical care, even over some of the larger universities' medical care, it's a pretty big jump. That's why Maurice Hurst played all those years of Michigan, never detected that he had a heart issue. I fell later on mid rounds of the draft for the Raiders, and he's having a pretty good career. So that is important to some of the players. That is important to a lot of the teams, especially if the players, say a year removed from an ACL or had like some shoulder issues or some various injuries their final year in college. That's important too. But also, a lot gets made of like, hand size. I was like, 37-inch arms on the left tackle. He's obviously going to be the next Anthony Munoz, all that other stuff. Now, you'll notice that college programs, especially on their official websites and also in the programs you get on game day, they lie. Like, they just straight up lie about a player's size. Because you remember Miles Killebrew? He's like a safety special teams guy for the Lions now. Because when he came out of it was like Southern Utah State Tech or something like that, and he was listed as a safety at like 6'4", 255 pounds of granite, just like some sort of like Northern European Celt or Gallic people just coming down from the mountains ready to burn the shit out of Rome. And then it turns out he's like 6'2" and 210. But so I guess that's quasi important. But besides the draftable players, one of the big important things about the combine is that players, agents, as well as executives really start hobnobbing around, and then you start getting a feel for what the market's going to be in free agency, as well as potential extension talk, and also trades. I mean, draft day trades. A lot of them can trace their roots straight to this, get together in Indianapolis over some cocktails over St. Elmo's, shrimp cocktail and a couple of steaks. A couple of whiskey sours in, all of a sudden, you trade the number 2 overall pick for like 17 first-round picks. That's how Washington got RG3 back in the day, as well as Kirk Cousins in the 4th round. But, So, Spielman even alluded to this in his presser the other day. Of Anthony Harris's agent will be in Indianapolis, and that could kickstart extension talks, which it's real important, frankly. Would love to keep number 41 in purple, and if it all else fails, franchise tag him. But also, Stephon Diggs' agent is going to be in Indianapolis as well, so he could be starting conversations with either Washington or Minnesota or Baltimore. Here's the example. So, Diggs' agent goes up to Spielman. They talk a couple minutes, talk about grievances, air things out. Happens, right? And then Diggs' agent goes to the Washington decision makers or Eric Acosta in Baltimore. It's like, so what would you give the Vikings? And then they get some sort of a ballpark, some sort of neighborhood. Then the agent goes back to Rick Spielman. It's like, hey, Washington's offering this. Yeah, that's how the game is played. And also, remember when Adrian was having those contentious contract negotiations after his thing a couple years ago, and then Ben Dogra, who was his agent at the time, almost had fisticuffs with Rob Brzezinski, Thug Life, in like some hotel room or some hotel lobby. Yeah, it's hilarious. That's how it goes down in Indy, the crown jewel of the NFL new season and rebirth. But also, this is where a lot of the NFL insiders just get spoon-fed, self-serving bullshit. All right, so teams. Here's something too. Everything leaks for a reason. Like, no one gives like pure inside info out of the kindness of their heart. Just think about this. Every time Schefter or Glazer or Insider XYZ, whether it's national or local, every time they report something of inside information, that leaked for a reason. That means, so say Team X is interested in trading down. You know where that came from? Team X. Yeah, they're like, we would like to explore the trade market. We've had a couple offers, even though they hadn't had any offers. You know why? Because they're open for business. Same thing with potentially trading a player. Same thing with player trying to get extension, everything like that. So don't believe a word that is said by anyone from now until actually forever. Yeah, absolutely forever. But that's the combine. That's what's important about it, besides the underwear Olympics. But what are your thoughts? Let us know in the comment section below. Also, subscribe for daily Vikings takes. You want to support the work, pull us up in the Venmo. Please give us a follow on social media as well. But until next time, Skull, production value.